Now that we know the Phoenix Suns will be looking for a new head coach, what are they going to look for in their new guy on the sidelines? Who is going to have a say in that process? I think the logical next step here in this ongoing saga that will be retooling the Phoenix Suns this offseason will be figuring out who is the right guy on the sidelines, because they have not figured that out since Matt Ishbia became the owner of this team. Didn't want to continue with Monty. Didn't think Frank Vogel could cut it after 1 year. Same goes for Mike Budenholzer as of this morning. So we get to use one of my favorite phrases, what are the non-negotiables? What are the things that you absolutely have to have? Because you can do a lot of different things with your coaching search. You can get somebody that's going to win the press conference, is going to say all the right things, going to endear himself to the media, but isn't maybe the greatest X's and O's coach. So do you go for winning the press conference? Do you go for a veteran coach with NBA head coaching experience? Do you go with a young and up-and-coming assistant coach? Do you pluck somebody from the college ranks? What is it that the Suns should go for in their next head coach? And the issue with that is I think there are a bunch of different ways to do this. There are a bunch of different ways you could go. Most of the time, and we see this in football quite a bit, you have an offensive-minded head coach, things don't work, you fire that guy, the pendulum normally swings in the other direction. The pendulum swings back to, I'm going to go to a defensive guy this go around. If you have a defensive guy, it doesn't work, you don't really break through, you fire that guy, let me get the hot up-and-coming offensive coordinator to run my team. The pendulum kind of swings back and forth, and we can apply it to the Phoenix Suns. They had a defensive-minded coach in Frank Vogel, and they thought, in service of being a defensive-minded team, they lost too much on the offensive end. So the pendulum swung all the way in a different direction. We still have a coach that's won a championship. We still have somebody who's a veteran. He's been around the block, but this is a guy who's an offensive genius. This is a guy who's a master on that side of the floor. The pendulum swung. Does it swing back? Do they find somebody more in the middle? I don't know if we want to arbitrarily put that pendulum on this, but you could see it swinging backwards and the Suns going in that direction. To me, we talked about confidence being very important earlier in the program. There is one word that I keep coming back to outside of confidence that I think should be the framework and the guidance for this entire search. You have to rebuild this culture. The culture of the Phoenix Suns stinks. I can list off things that just happened this season. A head coach not talking to a player after he benched him, not giving him an explanation to why he was being removed from the rotation, when earlier in that head coach's tenure, he flew to Yusuf Nurkic's home country to sit down personally and meet with him and outline a plan for him. Less than a couple of months into the season, the relationship fractured so much to the point where they weren't speaking. He called Devin Booker, that being Mike Budenholzer, into a meeting and told him to tone it down. Don't be so vocal. Had a back and forth with Kevin Durant on the sidelines. That's culture. That is a team that is not acting like a team. That is what the Suns need to address first and foremost. They need to bring somebody in here that is going to establish a winning and accountability culture. So what does that mean? When I say a winning culture, an accountability culture, where does my mind immediately go to? I want to get somebody who right now is coaching on a team that's having some success. I want to pick from the Boston Celtics. I want to pick from the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Golden State Warriors, teams that are either right now at their prime, at their peak, their championship window is fully open, or a team like Golden State who's just constantly been there year in and year out. I want to pick from the teams that have had the most success. And I will tell you, a name has jumped out to me in doing my research. Am I going to tell you that I am the foremost expert on this guy? No, I am not. But when I think of culture, when I think of picking somebody from a winner, when I think of trying to find somebody who's young and up and coming, because I do think that's important, somebody who maybe is more relatable to the players, Dave Bliss of the Oklahoma City Thunder jumped off the page to me in a very quick bit of research I did this morning. You've got a guy who is, I think he's 38 or 39, about to turn 40. I think his birthday is later on this month, so might turn 40 this month. But he's with Oklahoma City. So he has been a part of Oklahoma City since 2019. So he has seen this team go from hoarding all those draft picks and trying to develop this to now being the number one seed in the Western Conference. This is a guy who's worked in the college ranks, who's been with Oklahoma City. He is part of their defensive philosophy. He oversees their defense. Pendulum swinging back in the other direction. And Oklahoma City doesn't go from where they were to a team that's the one seed if you don't have an overhaul in culture. Because guess what? Dave Bliss was there for two regimes. He was there with Billy Donovan, and now he has stayed into this next era of Thunder basketball. Just one name I'm throwing out there, but you see the boxes that I'm looking for. Culture, somebody who's been a part of a winning program. I don't necessarily think you need to have NBA head coaching experience. We kind of did that. We got guys who had the utmost of NBA head coaching experience. The last two coaches that were brought here were guys who have won NBA championships, who have been the best of the best, have hardware in their trophy cases at home. That didn't work. So I don't need to marry myself to somebody who has NBA head coaching experience. Would I like it? Sure, it has its value. But culture overrides all of that for me. Culture overrides getting somebody who's been around the block a couple of times, who's maybe had levels of success, has won a couple playoff series. I need to make sure that the guy that I bring in is going to get along with my players, and not in a defer kind of way, as in let the players do whatever they want, but it is going to be working in tandem to build the right culture, hold those guys accountable in the right way, and create the type of environment that players want to be a part of. And you know who's going to have the biggest say in all of that? Devin Booker is going to have the biggest say in all of that. Everything you read today about the Suns and their coaching decision this morning is that this team is going to retool, rebuild, whatever word you want to use, around Devin Booker. What does that tell me? That Book is going to have a say in this process, as he should. If you are committed to keeping Book and building around him, he deserves a say. He deserves a seat at the table. Now, you may not want Booker to be here. You may think he's had chance after chance after chance, hasn't worked out. You think the Suns should explore trading him this summer. That is a fair opinion to have. That is a fair argument to make. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they want to keep him. They want to build around him. And I think if you are going to bring him in and you're going to keep him on board and you want to build around him, he deserves a seat at the table. Not the final say, but he deserves a say. He deserves a chance to articulate to the front office, whoever that may be, to ownership, what he's looking for in the next head coach.